Hey everybody, it's Nissa. Today we're going to be talking about topic selection for your upcoming research paper. Today marks the start of our third unit, the research paper, which will require you to write an 8 to 12 page research paper of your own. So in this presentation, I'll be asking you to do 3 things that will hopefully help formulate your research paper topic. The first is to brainstorm a list of 5 focused research paper topics. You want to come up with 5 topics that are interesting to you. So if your topic is interesting to you, you'll ultimately be more motivated and want to work on your paper more than if you don't like your topic. Second, I'll ask you to select, limit, and propose a topic for your paper. So of your 5 topics, pick one. The one that most interests you, perhaps the one that has the most routes that you could go in terms of research. I'd like you to limit it, to focus the idea, to focus on something very specific, a specific facet of that topic. And lastly, we'll discuss how to generate appropriate questions to guide your research. So instead of picking a topic and calling it a day and being done, we'll discuss what kinds of questions you can ask to make sure that your research experience is a fruitful and a positive one. So first, you'll pick a general subject area, and not specifying your subject can make writing a comprehensive paper in 8 to 12 pages, one that covers all aspects of your subject, nearly impossible. So first, pick a general topic, and then start to narrow it down. What about that topic do I want to talk about? You'll conduct some preliminary research to familiarize yourself with the subject before you choose a particular aspect to focus on. So where's the research currently? What are researchers currently asking with regard to your questions and with regard to your topic? What has already been answered about your topic? So what is the recent research? What have people already found? What is something that maybe you can state in your paper and cite another source rather than going about conducting that research again on your own? And lastly, what questions still remain about your topic? And this is maybe where you're going to get your research paper ideas from, is if you are familiar with a subject area and you are familiar with the recent research, but you say this area, this particular question hasn't been addressed yet, that might be something that you want to pick up for your own research. So first, familiarizing with yourself with the topic is going to be a huge asset for you in determining what kinds of research voids there still are in your area and what kind of research you might do to help fill those voids. So you can pick anything? Well, yes, but there are a couple things to keep in mind. Some topics to avoid. Very new or extremely current theories may lack sufficient information for your paper. So while a theory may be really interesting and really innovative and really exciting, it may not have enough research behind it to provide you with enough resources to back up your own information. So if it's a really brand new study, you may have difficulty finding other sources to corroborate what it is that you're saying. So keep that in mind. And secondly, picking a controversial topic can make it difficult to find objective sources and to separate opinion from fact. Let's face it, everybody has an opinion about everything, and if you pick something that people are really hotly debating in terms of maybe gun control or abortion, it may be difficult for you to find sources that really just state the facts as opposed to stating someone's opinion about something. So be careful about picking a controversial topic. You should also pick something that interests you. I mentioned this briefly in the beginning, that if you aren't interested in the topic, then your reader likely isn't going to be either, and that's going to come through in your writing. So selecting a topic that interests you is going to better motivate you to be as comprehensive, as all-encompassing, as covering every aspect of your topic, and being as diligent as possible in researching. It's going to make you want to work if you're interested in your topic. So definitely pick something that interests you. Then you're going to focus your topic. Again, a topic that is too broad is uninteresting. If you're going to talk in general about global warming, okay, well, what aspect about it? What perspective are you going to be taking? Whose side are you going to be supporting? So consider the length, the purpose, and the audience of your paper, because all of these will help guide you in picking a particular aspect of a topic. So if you understand that your paper is going to be 8 to 12 pages, you understand that you probably can't do a good research paper on the history of America. That obviously isn't going to fit in 8 to 12 pages. The purpose, why are you doing this? Well, a research paper is hopefully to either argue in favor of a particular view or to offer a solution to a problem. So consider why are you writing this? What would you like to do with this paper? That will also help to guide your topic selection. And lastly, the audience of the paper. I'd like to point out here that your paper for ESL 501 will be for a general audience. So in your field, you may be very literate in the technical literature in your field. However, your instructor and your classmates may need to read parts of your paper, so you want to make sure that you write it in such a way that a member of the general population could understand your paper. So while you can definitely pick an area from your field, you want to remember that as you're writing, am I explaining all of my vocabulary words appropriately and adequately? Have I provided enough background information so that my reader knows what they need to know to understand where I'm going with this? So some questions you can ask of a potential topic is, first, is it too broad? Have you narrowed it down enough? Is it specific enough? Second, is it too familiar or obvious? Has it been done already? Have so many people already written on this topic that to add another one would really not make any kind of a new contribution? Make sure that the topic that you're writing, it's something new, it's something innovative, it's something that you can carve out a piece for yourself and say, this is what I've done, this is what I've contributed. Is it too subjective? Are you using facts to back up your information, or is the paper based solely on your opinion or other people's opinion of a topic? Make sure that there's enough fact and evidence to back yourself up. And lastly, is it too technical? So this gets back to the idea of audience in a paper, making sure that you've provided enough information for your reader to understand your topic. And one way of allowing yourself to do this easier is to address this when you pick the topic and make sure that it is one that could potentially be understood by a general population, not a topic that requires years of study in a particular discipline, but a topic that you could reasonably explain to someone else. So a little bit more in this thread, restricting the scope of your subject. So the emphasis again is to be specific as possible with your topic selection. So some good questions for limiting the subject. Is there a particular place you'd like to focus on? So maybe global warming in the United States or energy conservation in China. Picking a particular place can help to limit your scope. The type of a question, is it in a certain field, professional versus non-professional? The time, is it a current event within the last decade? Perhaps you can discuss the new energy innovations of the last decade. Or perhaps you want to discuss dressmaking in the 18th century and what that's contributed to how people dress today. And lastly, the particular aspect of a topic, the origins of a particular field maybe, or consequences of a particular action, the consequences of not recycling in the U.S. for future generations. So what aspect of the topic do you want to focus on? So an example, say I want to talk about my very, very broad topic is leadership. So obviously I need to narrow this down quite a bit. If I wanted to narrow it down in terms of place, I could say in the United States, or the type of community could be in the business community. Another type could be within major corporations. A time over the last decade. An aspect could be factors determining effective leaders. So here I'm starting to really get at a topic. While I haven't come up with a thesis statement yet, I've narrowed my topic down to leadership maybe in the United States over the last decade, and maybe how financial or economic factors determine effective leaders in the United States over the last decade. So again, by combining a number of different parts of these, I can start to get a really narrowed down focus. I don't have a thesis statement yet, but I definitely have a much narrower topic than I did at the beginning when I just said I wanted to talk about leadership. Now that we've discussed a couple of different ways to find a topic and to narrow your topic, I'd like you to either get out a pen and paper or open up a separate window on your computer and write a list of 5 potential research topics. Again, these need to be topics that interest you, topics that could be discussed for a general population, and areas that you think there could actually be some research in, that there's room for research. So for each of the 5 topics, what's the question you'd like to answer? So what specific part of that idea do you want to focus on? And do you want to focus on getting an answer for? So you're going to narrow down each of the 5 topics down to a specific facet of the area that you'd like to look into. And again, as I keep emphasizing, be as specific as possible. So if you want to take a second, pause the video, write down your 5 ideas. It might help to get you started in the brainstorming process. So once you have a list of 5, and hopefully you took the time to do that, you want to start to generate research questions. So questions that are going to help guide your research and to keep you on the right track, on a focused track. So first think, what will my thesis statement be? You should generate a tentative thesis statement for any topic that you're considering continuing with. And of course you're going to revise it as you continue and improve your research, but you definitely want to start with a thesis statement, because a thesis statement is going to present an arguable viewpoint, something that you're going to be either arguing in favor of, or maybe you want to present a solution to a particular problem. The thesis statement is going to articulate the focus of the paper, as you know, in as little as 1 sentence, maybe 2 sentences. So this should be one of the first steps you take with respect to each of those 5 ideas that you came up with. If you have trouble writing a thesis statement, that doesn't mean you shouldn't necessarily pursue that topic, but it just means that you need to keep thinking. So how will you support your thesis statement? What kinds of information do you think you could find to support your thesis? Have a lot of people done research in this area? Do you think there's enough research to support your ideas? If not, if you think this is too new of an idea, that may be something that you stay away from. If you're not sure what kind of research has been done on your topic, now is the time for you to go out and do some of that preliminary research and to look into what has been said about your topic, so you know what area not to cover again. So if someone has done a study and has already figured something out, you don't want to have to go over and redo that again just because you didn't take the time to find out, has someone researched this topic before? The important thing here is you need to take the time to see whether there's enough information out there that will help you to support your thesis statement. And if maybe there's been research that supports a slightly different thesis statement that you've originally come up with and you don't mind changing, that's the point of having a tentative thesis statement, is it's a place to start. You by no means have to stick with your thesis the entire time. You're more than welcome to revise it. But what I'm trying to emphasize is that you do need to have an idea of what it is you're going to be saying. What are the possible subtopics that this information could develop into your paper? So maybe you have your narrowed topic, but there are still some subtopics that you want to talk about. Maybe different aspects of it that you want to elaborate on, that you want to discuss. Maybe you want to pick 2 or 3 that could still fit into your narrowed topic to elaborate it more in depth. So maybe coming up with, along with that list of 5 topics, include some subtopics that may also be relevant to your paper. And lastly, if you find these sub-areas that you want to focus on as well, how are they going to fit into the organization of your paper? Do you think that adding those subtopics is going to somehow deviate from your original plan? If so, maybe you either want to revise your original thesis statement or find some different subtopics to discuss. You want to make sure that any sub-areas that you're discussing follow naturally from the thesis statement that you're making and ultimately do something to prove or to illustrate that your thesis statement is a valid one. And lastly, some more questions to help you with your research. Some of you may already be familiar with these. These are the typical journalistic questions. So, who is this topic about? What is this topic about? When is this topic about? Where is this topic about? Why is this important to discuss? And maybe if you're proposing some kind of a solution, how would this work and how is this the best option? So in conclusion, you brainstormed hopefully a list of 5 research topics that interest you to get you started in thinking what's going to be the topic that you want to go with. You want to be as specific as possible, so focus your topic so that your paper is focused and so that your thesis can be focused. Remember, you only have 8 to 12 pages, which sounds kind of like a lot, but in terms of a research paper, it's not very long at all. So finding a very specific and focused thesis will help you to stay within that page limit and will also help you to be as comprehensive in your research as possible. Also pick a topic that most interests you. This is reiterated twice on this page. It's probably best if you don't try and change your topic halfway through this unit, because all the work that you're going to be doing is really to help you develop your research paper. So if you're going to be changing halfway through, you're going to ultimately be behind, and it's going to be more difficult for you to catch up. So really, from the start, ask yourself if this is going to be interesting to you. And lastly, for the topic that you choose, or maybe for your top 3 topics that you brainstormed, you're going to write a tentative thesis statement for your topic. And what's the position that you're going to be arguing in favor of? What kind of a solution are you offering to what kind of a problem, being as specific as possible? Okay, talk to you soon.